Hey there guys, welcome to my kitchen. This is the first retreat tutorial of In the Kitchen. So we're going to be going through some different recipes with you and some different little tips and tricks for making healthy food at home. Today we are starting with a favorite, no bake, chocolate chip cookie dough balls. So this is a treat that we're starting with. So if you're craving cookies or baked goods or deliciousness like that right now, this is going to be a really good go-to. So we're definitely working with healthier ingredients today, like whole rolled oats, coconut, we've got almond butter, cashews, hemp seeds, cinnamon, maple syrup. That's about it, but we will have the recipe for you at the end of this video. So enjoy. We're going to show you how it's all done in just a moment. Okay, so I've got all my ingredients laid out here, and we're gonna start with a bit of a dry mix in a blender. So you can either use a high-speed blender or a food processor if you have one. So we'll start with our unsweetened flaked coconuts, and there's 2 cups here, and I've sort of packed it down to get out some of the air and get in as much of 2 cups as I can here. So we're gonna dump that into our blender. And then next up we've got the oats. So we're basically gonna blend these 2 dry ingredients together, and then we'll add some of the other ones. So we have approximately 1.5 cups of whole rolled oats. I am using the Bob's Red Mill brand that are also certified gluten-free. So we'll dump those in. And I'm just gonna step over to the blend station over here and give this a quick blend, and I'll save you the noise of that and be back in just a moment. Okay, so I've essentially just blended this up on a nice dry blend, and I've basically made the flour. So this would be like the flour in cookies when you're making just regular cookies. So it's like an oat and coconut flour. So that's the dry base. And then to that, I'm gonna incorporate in our hemp seeds. So it's a 1/4 cup of hemp seeds. And then it's also calls for a 1/4 cup of, can be anything, it can be raisins or currants. I'm gonna use cashews because I have them around and I really love cashews and just the chew of them. So I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of whole raw cashews. And I'm gonna give this another blend just to roughly chop these second ingredients into the flour. Okay, so taking this dry blend now, and I'm just gonna dump it into a glass bowl. And you might have to get in there with a spatula and just get out any of the flour that might be just sticking to the bottom there around the blades. So there we go, we've got it all in the bowl. And I'll give it a little toss. And then I'm gonna add in our other ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna add our last dry ingredient, which is the cinnamon, actually last 2, it's cinnamon and sea salt. So this recipe is calling for a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and sea salt. So I'm gonna be proper and actually measure this, which I never do. And I love cinnamon, so I'm gonna heap it. I'm gonna do more than a 1/4 teaspoon because I love cinnamon. Okay, and our sea salt. I'm just gonna crack some in, but you should do the actual measurement maybe, just to be safe. I also like salt, so I gave it a couple extra cracks in. And then I'm gonna stir all of that together and just incorporate the cinnamon and the salt. And then I'll go ahead and add my dark chocolate chunks. You can also use chocolate chips. I just didn't have any. So I worked with whatever dark chocolate I had in the fridge and just cut them up into sort of smaller chunks. So that goes in. Feel free to be pretty liberal with that. Again, I just am working with what I've got here, so I didn't have as much as I would typically like to put in. But at the end of all this, I'm gonna show you an extra little step that I would like to experiment with, and it has to do with a lot of chocolate. Okay, so chocolate's in, and then I'm gonna add our butter. So this is an almond butter, and I've also added cashew butter into this, again, because I had some left over and I just wanted to clean out the cupboard a little bit. So we've got almond butter and cashew butter in here. And I'll just glob that in and get every last bit of this goodness. This is gonna help bind everything together really nicely. Oh, and then our last ingredient is gonna be a sweetener, right? So the recipe actually calls for honey. I'm gonna use maple syrup. So we're gonna keep these cookie dough balls both gluten-free and 100% vegan today. And we're adding a half of a cup of the liquid sweetener. So in goes that goodness. And we'll get every last bit of that too, since it's like liquid gold. And a fortune, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna just start to incorporate all of this with a bit of a bigger spoon. I don't think I've missed any ingredients, so we're good. Good, so I'll get this all mixed up for you and then we will take the next step. Okay, and I almost missed a really important ingredient, and that is our vanilla essence. So that is key with anything that you're trying to make taste like a cookie, I would say, like a classic cookie. So we're gonna put 1 teaspoon of vanilla into this mix. Whoops, overflowed, that's okay. I like to be liberal with my vanilla as well. And I'll just continue to incorporate the vanilla now. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this dough, this batter, in the freezer for 10 minutes. So it just is gonna set in there and kind of combine and get a little more solid. And then when we pull it out, we can start to actually shape the dough into balls or bars, depending on what you wanna do with it. So we'll see you in 10 minutes after this goes into the freezer. Okay, so I've just pulled our dough out of the fridge. It sat in there, fridge or freezer, it sat for 10 minutes. And if you have a melon baller, I believe that's preferred. But if you're not so concerned about sizes not being perfect, then a spoon will do just fine. So we're just gonna spoon out, decide how big you want your cookie dough balls to be, and then there we go. That looks about good to me. Yeah? So I'm gonna just pop it into its little plate. And this is gonna take some time, so just enjoy the process. Okay, and that is it. So we've rolled them all up and we've plated them. These are the delicious cookie dough balls. So now we can enjoy one. Here we go. They're really good. It takes a little bit more of chewing because it has oats and cashews in it and coconut. I'm gonna be totally transparent in case anyone is a really big cookie dough fan. It isn't the same. Okay, but it's really, really good. And it's close. So there you go. Enjoy. And if you wanna see how I make this into a chocolate bar, then stay tuned for the next video. Okay, ciao.